Hey, before we dive into the episode, I wanted to let you know about the No Yell Summer Workshop. I am creating this because I've heard from so many parents that are worried and nervous and already feeling overwhelmed about summer. And I want you to make this the best summer ever. So for just $7, you can come spend 90 minutes with me on May 28th. We're going to create an amazing plan that's based in developmental psychology and attachment theory so that you can make this the best summer yet. If you go to cmp.works/summer, you can save your spot. If you can't come live, we're going to send you the replay and you're going to be able to create that plan that will leave you feeling empowered and excited so that at the end of summer, you're sad it's ending instead of collapsing with relief it's over. All right, now let's get on to the episode. The math is undeniable. If you have a 7-year-old and you wait one more year to make the changes, you've lost 14% of your remaining time with them before they turn 18. 1 year might not sound like much, but when measured against childhood, it's a lot. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hey, everybody. Today's episode is super important to me to record because lately I've been having these heart-to-heart conversations with parents, dedicated, loving parents just like you, and I've noticed something that keeps surfacing again and again, something that's costing families their peace, their connection, precious time that they'll never get back. I call it the cost of waiting. Every week, incredible parents tell me things like, Andy, I've known for years that I should stop yelling, that I should be more present, but I haven't done it yet. I should work on my triggers. I haven't done it yet. And then comes all the reasons why they haven't done it yet. They'll say, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so busy. I have this big work project. Maybe when the kids are a little bit older, I'll start when summer break begins. What these parents don't realize is that, or maybe they do realize, but we're in denial that every day that we wait isn't neutral. It's actively expensive. The cost of waiting accumulates silently, but I'd say relentlessly, like interest on a debt that you don't even know you're carrying. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what waiting is costing, not just you, but your family, your kids, your relationship. We're going to dive into the psychology behind why we delay the changes we desperately want to make, because it makes no sense why we would not want to stop yelling or not want to stop getting frustrated or not wanting to stop getting after our kids when we know it's not working. So we need to know why. Why are we delaying the changes that we so desperately want? And most importantly, how to break this cycle. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down or when less busy or tired, but today. Because the truth is the cost of waiting, I believe, is way too high to keep paying. So let me explain what's happening in our brains when we put off these really important parenting changes. Because this is a really fascinating concept to me from behavioral economics. They call this delay discounting. In its simplest form, it means that we value immediate rewards more than future rewards, even when those future rewards are much bigger, they're more meaningful. We can tell that it might be worth waiting, but we don't. We value today and what's happening today versus tomorrow. For example, if I offered you $10 today or $15 in a week, most people would wait for the $15. I mean, just a week away. But if I offered you $10 today and $15 in a year, most of you would grab the $10 now, even though still logically waiting would be the better choice. We discount the value of something the longer we have to wait for it. And the cost of this discounting in parenting is enormous. Research suggests, and we're going to do this in the spirit of B.J. Fogg's work, isn't that a great name? B.J. Fogg, that small changes done now often matter more than perfect plans made later. Now, here's how this plays out, you all. Here's how it plays out in your daily life as a parent. We all have these beautiful visions of relationships we want to create with our kids. We have an idea of this peaceful morning without battles, conversations where everyone feels heard and we're singing Kumbaya, kids who cooperate, not out of fear, but because they love and respect and trust us. A home that feels like a safe harbor instead of a pressure cooker where someone's going to blow their top. But these outcomes, they're in the future. They require consistent work now that won't pay off till later. And we might not even know how to get there. That's part of this too, is we might be unsure. How do we actually do that? So in the meanwhile, what feels immediately rewarding is maybe yelling to get compliance because it works at a cost, but it works. Threatening to get the toys picked up right now because the toys will get picked up if we use threats, even though we hate how we feel and we don't like the way our kids look when we threaten them. Or using screens as babysitters when we're exhausted, even though we've read all the studies about what it's doing to their brain and they've been on it too long, but we do it again because we're so tired. Or we're avoiding having those hard conversations with our teenagers because they're so uncomfortable. So we just keep putting it off. Or we're worried about the pushback. I get that a lot. Every time we choose these immediate solutions, we're paying a piece of our future relationship with our child. That's what we're paying with. The cost of waiting to change these patterns isn't just theoretical. It's measured in missed connections. It also erodes trust when we start using threats and punishments in a punitive way. And these opportunities for emotional maturation, for our kids to feel safe and secure, we miss them. They vanish. We're trading our long-term parenting vision for our short-term convenience. We're discounting our parenting goals. And every day we wait, the price goes up. So why does this happen? Why do we put off the parenting changes we know would transform our lives? Why aren't all of you guys in league with me coming through the pivot? Well, it comes down to how our brains are structured. We essentially have two operating systems. First, we have what neuroscientists call our primitive brain. It focuses on immediate rewards, immediate threats, immediate comfort. It's all about now. We all have this lower brain. Then we have our prefrontal cortex that came on later in the evolution game. It evolved after our primitive brain, after our lower brain, after our immediate reward brain. This is the evolved part of our brain that can imagine the future. It can plan ahead. It can make decisions based on values rather than immediate impulses or immediate payout. It's the part of us that says, no, I'm not going to get more ice cream because I really have this long-term goal to be healthier. So we delay the gratification. The problem is our primitive brain, you guys, is so much louder than our prefrontal cortex. It's like having a toddler and a wise elder, we'll use that as an example, living in your brain. But the toddler has so much more energy, has this really loud megaphone, and the elder has less energy and just speaks in whispers. So you can probably tell who's going to win, that strong toddler voice. Dr. Daniel Kahneman, who won a Nobel Prize for his work on decision-making, describes these two systems as system 1 and system 2. So system 1 is fast, it's automatic, it's emotional. It's what we call our subconscious brain. It's our default brain. It's where we can do things automatically. So when we first learn to drive a car, we're really having to think about it. We're having to use our system 2 brain, the thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is slower, more deliberate, and more logical. So at first, that's what we're using when we're learning to drive a car. And then after 6 months, a year, it's all in system 1. It's all automatic. It's all gone into the fast system, which is good. However, when it comes to parenting, our system 1 thinking often hijacks our best intention. So we go with what we've seen, what we're feeling, what feels needed to survive. And so system 1 takes over, subconscious takes over, default takes over. And we might have the best of intentions to not yell today, to be more gracious with our kids when they have an upset, to sit with them in their emotions. But if we aren't practicing and doing some of the things I'm going to talk about today, then we're not going to be able to hold on to those intentions in the moment. And the cost of us not doing the work so that we can engage system 2, the higher thinking, the prefrontal cortex in the moment, is what I'm talking about today, because that's how we're going to change our neural pathways. Research in family health shows that ongoing parenting stress levels lead to negative, coercive, and harsh parenting behaviors, which then directly worsen our children's behavior. So we think we need to stop the yelling or tell the kids to get their acts together, and we get emotional, we get frustrated, we think that's going to help. And sometimes the behavior does shift in our kids, but the long-term impact of us being more stressed out and needing to say something stronger and be more controlling or coercive, this harsh parenting behavior in the long run worsens the behavior. It makes the kids less likely to listen to us, not as open to our feedback, and that sabotages ourselves. So even more concerning, I will say, than this, neuroscience research indicates that increased parenting stress is associated with decreased parental warmth and increased hostility. So increased parental stress, decreased parental warmth, increased hostility. We all know this. When we go into fight or flight mode, which is that lower brain, that system one, as Dr. Daniel Kahneman says, or calls it rather, we know we're not at our highest loving, kind self. We're in autopilot, we're in survival mode, we're in fight or flight. So it makes sense that we're not as warm. We're a little more hostile. We're less warm. We're less compassionate. And these changes in parenting styles, when we go more fight or flight, when we're being a little bit more authoritative, we're less warmth, have been linked to increases in children's internal and external behavior problems over time. So it makes matters worse, not better in the long run. It might help in the short term, but we know in the long run, it's not going to keep working. Nobody wants to listen to someone who you feel like is trying to tell you what to do all the time and you don't have that warmth. We do want to be influenced by people we have connections with, people we feel trust and we feel care about us. So we know this, right? We know that this is what we want to be. We all get caught in this vicious cycle. We're stressed. So we parent in ways that contradict our values, which create more behavioral challenges in our kids, which create more stress on us, and on it goes. And with each rotation of the cycle, the cost of not breaking this cycle, the cost of waiting to break it, grows exponentially. As psychologist Timothy Cycle, I think that's how you say his name, or Peichel, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, observed in his work on procrastination, he says this: procrastination is often more about emotional regulation than time management. I mean, mic drop. That's such a good observation. I love how he articulated it, because most of us can hear that and say, yeah, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm feeling stressed, I'm having a hard time managing my time, I'm procrastinating, I'm putting things off. I'm in fight or flight mode. It's not because I don't know what to do. It's not because I don't have good time management or I don't have good intentions or priorities. I see this so clearly, especially when we say it so clearly. And parenting is, at its core, all about emotional regulation. It starts with us as parents being emotionally regulated. And then when we master this skill of feeling our emotions, then our kids can learn it by example. We can talk to them about how we've learned it. And as human beings, we all up-level. I want to have you try something with me right now. I want you to pause whatever you're doing. You might be driving, so be safe if you're doing something like that. Maybe you're going on a walk. Maybe you're doing the dishes. Maybe you're folding laundry, whatever you're doing. Take a deep breath right now, and I want you to count to 10 in your mind. And during these just 10 seconds, I want you to think about one small change that you could make today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. One thing that you could do today that would move you towards being the parent you want to be. Just think of one thing really quick. Write it down, think of it, say it out loud. Maybe it's pausing before responding to your child. Maybe it's having a time of day that's phone-free time. Maybe it's sitting down and playing a game with your child. Just one tiny thing. Have you got it? I want you to hold onto that thought, that single, small, tiny change. And if you were able to implement that today, how would that transform your parenting? Better than a dozen perfect plans for tomorrow. The cost of waiting for the perfect time to make the change is pretty high. Another day where your parenting doesn't align with your values, another day where you don't do what you want to do and you can't get it back. So don't wait till tomorrow to think of one thing that you could do today that would make you a little more proud of yourself. The cost of waiting till tomorrow is so high. And yeah, you can't do it all in one day, but you can do one thing. Let's stop procrastinating. changing something. Even if that one thing is, hey, I need to apologize for something I said this morning to my child that I don't agree with. Or I just want to connect for 2 minutes. I'm going to sit down and watch that silly show with them that I don't get at all and be interested. I'm going to have them tell me about the game they're playing. Let me tell you about a story that happened in my own family years and years ago. My second youngest had entered what I lovingly call the boundary testing Olympics. That's what I call it now. At the time, I called it stubborn child. Every request was a negotiation. It felt like every transition was a battle. The mornings felt like World War II, World War III, I guess, coming out, getting out the door was just crazy. And I found myself confused, not using tactics I liked, being at my wit's end, yelling, threatening, all the things that I don't condone at all. I don't like that I did them, but I was doing them because I was tired. I knew this wasn't the parent I wanted to be. I was learning actively at that time about the research, about how ineffective this kind of parenting was long-term, punitive consequences, threatening, yelling. I mean, I intuitively knew that this doesn't feel good to receive or give, but I was diving deep in it. I was starting to get the hang of it, but we're imperfect humans and I don't always get it right. And sometimes in that time period of my life, the little dopamine hit I would get, that immediate relief from getting just a little compliance, even if it took my loud voice and some big threats, felt good in my system. It was this old story that wanted to stay alive. And I kept telling myself, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to stop. I just needed to do it today because I was so tired and she wouldn't listen. There was no other way. I would do it when I wasn't so stressed about things, when I had more support, when. It was always tomorrow. And every day I waited, I was paying a devastating price without really realizing it. Now you might think, but Andy, I am genuinely exhausted right now. I'm running on empty. How can I possibly add some connection, some patience? How can I show up differently? One more thing to my plate right now. I need to wait till tomorrow to implement some of these things you're asking me to do. And I hear you. I really do. That's exactly though why we need a different approach, why we need to implement today. Because a lot of the parenting tactics that we're doing cost us energy. They're depleting strategies. They don't energize us. They don't energize our kids. They don't fill us up. They feel hard and painful. And yeah, we might get somebody to do something in the moment, but then they're not going to want to do anything for us the next moment. Waiting for more energy while using these same depleting strategies is like waiting for a car's empty tank to magically refill itself with gas. Sometimes the very changes we're avoiding, thinking we don't have the time and the energy or the resources or the capacity to come to something that maybe I'm teaching, or join league, do the pivot, read the book, listen to the podcast episode. Like, oh, I don't know. I'm just so tired. I don't have time. But sometimes the very thing we're avoiding is the very thing that would give us more energy, not less. So yeah, it might feel like an investment, but if that investment pays dividends back, we've just gained. It's like investing in the stock market when it's low and then it doubles or triples. That's what happens when we start investing in the right parenting strategies today. It actually helps us feel better. It doesn't take energy, it gives energy. The cost of waiting for perfect conditions is that perfect conditions rarely arrive, so you probably aren't going to do it. And while we wait, we're giving up so many things. We're giving up opportunities for connection. Every time we choose control over connection, we miss out on chances to strengthen our bond, which was happening with my second youngest. I was ironically having these compliance issues and I was trying really hard to get her to listen. And it would have made the compliance issues easier if I would have stopped using threats and been more patient and been less resistant to her behavior. And when I missed a day of showing up in the way that I wanted to, I said, I'll do it tomorrow. Today I just didn't have any other options. Then that day was over and I can't go back and do it. And that's okay. I'm not beating myself up over it. I'm just saying the cost of waiting, when we really look at it, can motivate us to do something instead of getting stuck in the cycle of waiting. I'll do it tomorrow. The second thing that we are giving up when we wait for tomorrow is the trust that we could be creating with our child. Each time I exploded, each time I yelled or got frustrated with my child, a little bit of trust eroded. Now, it wasn't dramatic, but subtly it compounded over time until one day I woke up and I thought, this is ridiculous. You know better. Don't wait anymore. You have no excuses. The cost of waiting to rebuild this trust is so high. A relationship foundation built on shaky ground is not something I ever am willing to create. I'm not willing to sacrifice a strong, solid foundation of a relationship to get the room clean or to get the homework done. There's far better ways to get the room clean and get the homework done than sacrificing my child's trust. I was also sacrificing my own peace. The guilt I felt after each blow up was its own special kind of misery. The cost of waiting to find a better strategy, I would say, was my own mental health and well-being. I didn't like who I was being. I didn't like how I was showing up. And I was strengthening that neural pathway every time I did it. And I would also say that when I look back on this time, and now this child is now 17, so this is back when she was about 3. And now I can see how it makes complete developmental sense that a 3-year-old is going to be a 3-year-old, very immature, pushing back and not super compliant. But at the time, I was still getting the hang of this, which is silly because I studied all of this in nursing school. But when I became a parent, it all seemed to go out the window until I brought it all back in and restudied it. So anyway, her emotional safety, I could look back and say like, oh, at the time, I was not being a parent who she could trust or predict on how I would show up. I was unpredictable. My emotional outbursts were unpredictable. Sometimes I was fine and sometimes I wasn't. So when we do this, our kids have a heightened stress response. They have to be on alert. So the cost of waiting to create consistency and change is potentially altering your child's neurological development, their emotional development too. And most significantly, time. Every day I waited to change. What was that? 15 years ago when I was in the throes of this and was really frustrated. I was also very tired. I had 6 kids in 8 years. And so when my second to youngest was a couple years old, I had another one that was just a year and 5 days younger. It was a lot. My youngest had a lot of energy as well. And so I had I had time that I was wasting away every day. I waited to really get serious about figuring out why I was so triggered and why I was putting so much pressure on my young little kiddo to stop being so challenging when she couldn't do anything about it. She was just young and immature. So those are days I can't get back. They are days in my memory that I will remember. And even though they weren't my best, I know I was doing my best. And what I hope my message is sending to you is don't beat yourself up over where you are. Just decide, hey, let's not wait another day. Let's just try a little bit better today. Every day we wait is a day where we're not creating that relationship, that bond, that safety, and it accumulates over time. It's kind of like waiting for a garden to grow without planting anything. We can't expect our children to develop in ways we hope if we're not actively growing ourselves today, not tomorrow. If we want them to be emotionally more mature, then ask ourselves, how can I be more emotionally mature? How can I show up better when they're really reactive, when they're really pushing back, when they're resistant? How about if they're being really resistant, how do I practice not being resistant? How do I practice understanding from their point of view? Not condoning, but accepting that they're doing their best. So I have 3 questions that really helped me as I was making this shift 15 plus years ago, as I was breaking out of this pattern, as I was deciding to stop delay discounting my parenting goals and finally make the changes I knew would transform our family. I knew better. I needed to do better. I had to figure out how to make that transition. There were a lot of things that went into it. And a lot of what I learned is what I teach in the Pivot, what I teach in CMP Mastery, Inside League. How do we make that transition from knowing to doing better? But it started with these 3 questions. And other things too, but these are 3 questions that really helped me during a particularly rough patch and forced me to reckon with the cost of not figuring this out, of waiting, of not doing the work that it would take to stop showing up different than what I knew I wanted to show up like. So question number 1, how much longer are you willing to pay this price? Y'all, this question stopped me in my tracks. I had been thinking about a lot of changes I wanted to make. I knew a lot of information But I knew that to implement it, I'd have to let go of a lot of bad habits. That sounds like a great idea, right? Sounds really nice, but you would be surprised how tricky it is for our subconscious brain to let go of old ways of being. It was hard. It was hard. It didn't need to be hard. I just thought, and I didn't even know what was going on at the time. Because I'm like, of course I want to let go of being impatient. Of course I want to let go of losing my cool. But because I had done it for so many years, it was challenging. There was a little tug of war going on in my mind saying, no, you don't. You don't want to let go of this. You want to be this way because it's safe and secure. And that's how our brain works from survival mode. But I was worried, like if I did some of the things I hypothesized would work, like not using punishments, not threatening, not bribing, would my kids actually obey, or would my house turn into a crazy place? Would I go, bonkers? So I really had to wrestle with that. But I hadn't considered really until I was asking myself this question, the cost of me waiting and not trying. And when I really sat with this question, I realized I wasn't willing to keep paying the price of disconnection, guilt, regret for one more day. I didn't want to have another bedtime go south. I didn't want to have another morning feel terrible. The cost of waiting even one more day suddenly became unbearable. And I was like, I'm willing to fail. I'm willing to not know what I'm doing. I don't want to use correction anymore. I don't want to use punitive tactics. I don't want to control and try to manipulate. This isn't working. I don't like it. So that was super helpful. So ask yourself that. How much longer are you willing to pay the price that it's costing you to keep doing what you're doing today? And if you're like, I'm not willing to pay it anymore, then get some help so that you can stop showing up that way. And having awareness around how you're showing up is the first step, because we can't just instantly turn it off. There's no magic pill that I can send you. I wish there was. There's no magic pill I can send you to say, like, once you take this, you will have increased consciousness and patience and compassion. That's not how it works. There is some new neural pathways we have to create and take some time because we have to work with what we've got, our bodies. But what I can tell you is once you're fully committed to that, you will see progress, especially if you listen to this podcast, if you come join me in League or Pivot or in one of the workshops I'm doing. I think No Yell Summer would be the next one coming up right now. Come make summer this beautiful laboratory to change your whole entire parenting framework. That'd be so fun. I'd love to have you there. So question 2, what would your relationship with your child look like in 5 years if nothing changed? Okay, so this question forced me to use my prefrontal cortex. It was very uncomfortable. I really had to think about stuff and I did not want to think about it. I had to project into the future and see the cumulative impact of my current parenting patterns. This was 15 plus years ago. So I was imagining my daughter, who ironically, as I'm recording this podcast, the one I'm talking about is 17. She's a teenager. And that's what I was imagining her like at the time. So I was imagining her as a teenager, no longer seeking me out for comfort or guidance because she'd learned I wasn't emotionally safe. And it broke my heart. I imagined the walls between us growing thicker with each passing year, and that vision was unbearable. The cost of waiting to change my pattern suddenly had a full stop moment happening for me. I didn't want to have that kind of relationship. And I knew if I kept trying to critique and control, and I had the thoughts about her that she was, these negative thoughts about her, I wasn't going to create the kind of relationship I wanted in 5 years, which I guess at that point was way longer than 5 years. So 10 years, 15 years, whatever it was. So that was really helpful. That was really helpful for me to see that, like, my relationship with my child in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, what would that look like if I kept doing this? That really helped me say, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to figure this out, to increase my emotional capacity, to develop myself in ways that I'm underdeveloped right now. Question 3, you ready? If you knew you could not fail, what would change today? This question is so helpful because it helps bypass the fears and the excuses and tap into our deepest values and hopes and dreams. And it also helps us cut through all of the confusion. So it might just be, I would stop yelling. I would come alongside. I would get better at helping myself and my kids feel their emotions. I would be safe instead of frustrated and not safe and not okay with the emotions. This was so helpful. If I knew I couldn't fail, who would I be? What would I show up like? because there's such a fear of failure. Like, what if I do this? What if I stop using consequences and everything goes south? What if I don't know how to be a compassionate, firm alpha? Oh my gosh, what will people think? If we knew that, hey, a connection-based parenting framework works and I am capable of learning it and implementing it. And it's not that I won't have, missteps and make mistakes and have little fails, but I'm not going to epically fail. I'm not going to miss the mark. These 3 questions reframed the equation for me. They helped me see that waiting wasn't neutral. It was costing me a lot. My excuses weren't helpful and they weren't real. And it revealed that the changes I needed to make weren't nearly as complicated as I was trying to make them out to be. My brain wanted to stay confused because it wanted to stay the same. But when it comes down to what we really want, it's very simple. And the changes that we need to make are simple. I'm not saying they're easy. They don't have to be complicated. They might feel tedious. It takes a while to put something into the subconscious brain to get that new neural pathway formed, but it's possible if we just keep at it. The truth is, we avoid doing the deeper work, not because we don't care. Everyone who's listening to this, I know you care deeply. We avoid doing the deeper work, the hard work, the vulnerable work of confronting ourselves because we don't feel like we can do it or like we can hold it. It's a capacity issue. I talked about capacity a couple episodes ago, and I love thinking about it like that. It's just a capacity issue. It's not that I don't have it within me. I just haven't built up the capacity to do that yet. Just like I haven't built up the capacity to lift maybe a 20-pound weight. I can only do 5. Well, I have the inherent ability to create that capacity within myself. I just don't have it yet. So what if the support, what if the very thing that builds the capacity is something that you could lean into? What if you just need the structure and the framework, and then you inevitably will build the capacity? When I stopped discounting my future parenting goals and I started valuing them properly, prioritizing them properly, things began to shift. I became willing to experience a temporary discomfort of confronting myself, of asking people for help, of admitting big epic failures and saying, hey, what did I do? I know I don't like how I showed up, but like what went wrong and how do I avoid this next time? I started having those conversations because I knew those were the conversations. That was the help I needed to change my habits, because I could clearly see the much greater discomfort waiting for me if I didn't make the changes. Meaning if I kept on the trajectory I was on, I could see how uncomfortable and how awful that was going to be down the road, even worse than it was at that moment. And I was willing to have discomfort to not have that kind of discomfort. It was discomfort either way. It was like, well, if I'm going to be uncomfortable, I might as well do it and have it be productive discomfort. The cost of waiting one more day seemed far higher than the cost of imperfect progress today. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I saw that. I hope you see that too. So I want you to think about this. How far into the future do you regularly think about your parenting? Are you parenting for the next hour, the next day? Are you parenting with a vision of who your child will be as an adult? In the workshops and in the courses and the programs that I lead, I often ask parents to envision their child at 25. And I have a child who's now at 25, which is wild. I think I'm 25. Do you guys ever do that? You look in the mirror and you're like, I'm 25. Well, maybe you are 25. There's probably a lot of you listening that are 25. I am not, but I feel like I am. I remember my mom telling me that when I was in high school. She said she felt like she was in high school, and I thought, whatever, that's funny. There's no way. And I feel the same way, but I digress. So think about your child at 25. What qualities do you hope they have? What kind of relationship do you want to have with them? How do you hope that they're moving through the world? What are they creating? And then I want you to work backwards. What needs to happen today? And then next week and in a year to make that happen? How do we make that vision a reality? This exercise will immediately start expanding your future thinking. It's going to help you see way past today, way past the messy bedroom and the attitude or the tantrum. And it's going to put everything in a different light. A mom once told me after this exercise, she said to me, I've been so focused on getting my 8-year-old to clean his room that I had totally lost sight of the fact that I'm really raising a 25-year-old who knows how to take care of himself and has a good relationship with me. So what am I doing today to help raise this 8-year-old into the 25-year-old who knows how to take care of himself and has a good relationship with me. That perspective shift, you all, from short-term compliance to long-term relationship and character development, it will change everything. Just write it down. Who is this 25-year-old? What do you want them to be like? What are they going to have inside of them? What are they creating in the world? What qualities do they have? What values do they stand for? What kind of relationship do you have with them? This perspective shift from short-term compliance, I got to get their room clean, versus, oh, I need them to be emotionally resilient. I need them to have a desire to want to be responsible and take care of their things. So we're focusing on the long-term relationship, the character development. That will change everything. The cost of waiting to adopt this long-term vision, you know what that is? You'll end up sacrificing what matters most for what matters now. And that trade-off rarely delivers the relationship or the results, what now or in the future that you want. And this brings us to a crucial point, the myth of the right time. So many of us are waiting for a calmer child, more energy, better weather, less overwhelm, this magic window of peace and Pinterest-worthy schedules that start working. We're waiting for us to consistently wake up early to get our stuff done, get our exercise in, get our, study in. But let me be lovingly honest with you all. That perfect moment might never come. And if you're waiting for it, you might be waiting for a very long time. And the cost of waiting for that moment is another summer filled with yelling and guilt, another cycle trying to be the patient parent that you hope to be, that you don't become because you snap again, another year where really nothing changes, another 365 days of being the parent you promised yourself you would not be again. When we extend our future thinking as parents, we become less reactive to the challenges of today, and we become more responsive to that long-term vision. We're going to build our capacity to delay gratification. We're going to bypass the crazy frustration that's coming up inside of us because of their room, because we are more committed to the long-term vision than the room today. So yeah, we need to address the room. We want to get them to be responsible, but we're not going to sacrifice the long-term vision for the room. We're going to know how to navigate that in a wiser way, because we will no longer discount the future value of the relationship we're building. That will supersede everything. And here's what's incredible about this. As you strengthen this muscle of delaying gratification and valuing future rewards in your parenting, you're not just becoming a better parent. You're actually teaching that exact skill to your child through your example. Now, you've probably all heard of the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment. If you haven't, go Google it. It's so funny to watch. It's so cute. They conducted this experiment. The psychologist that did it was Walter Mischel, I think, in the 1970s. And he showed a correlation between children's ability to delay gratification and various life outcomes. So children who would wait for 2 marshmallows instead of eating one immediately, what they found is that over the course of their life, they appeared to have better outcomes in lots of areas of their life. Here's the fundamental concept. Learning to delay gratification, whether it's parenting or marshmallows or investing our money, is a valuable life skill that remains sound. So when we model this skill in our parenting, when we decide, hey, I'm going to delay the gratification that comes from that clean room or from, me wanting to say something about my child's little attitude right there, I'm going to delay that instant gratification that my body wants to jump on because I need to think through this. I'm too frustrated right now to say something. I need to think through this so that I can handle it with dignity, with respect, in a way I like, in a compassionate alpha way. That is showing your children what it looks like to be emotionally mature and to delay the gratification of saying something just because we need to let our kids know that they're not doing something right. But to do that, to model this, we first have to recognize what the cost of waiting is actually costing you both. Yes, you both. So here's my question for you. What if this summer could be different? As this episode is coming out live, we are on the brink of summer. It's the end of May. Some people might already have their kids out. I know for us, it's happening this week. Some are a little bit later into June. But regardless, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're on the brink of summer. So I want you to ask yourself, what if this summer could be different? What if instead of putting off your parenting goals until you have more time and until things aren't so crazy, until the school schedule kicks back in so you have more structure, what if you just said, nope, not putting my goals off until someday? This summer is when everything changes. What if you stopped delay discounting the parent you want to become and started taking steps towards that vision today? Summer isn't just another season. It's approximately 90 days of higher intensity parenting. And that's either 90 days of strengthened connection or 90 days of reinforced negative patterns. The summer months represent about 25% of your child's entire year. And that is way too much precious time to waste on someday thinking. The cost of waiting through another summer, let's think about this. A full quarter of your child's year spent in patterns that neither of you want. Another 90 days of moments you can't reclaim. Another season of memories tinged with regret instead of joy. And this, my friends, is why I have created the No Yell Summer workshop. We really created the No Yell Summer, a concept where we have a summer that is your best summer yet. And then I packaged it up in a workshop because I'm going to teach this to everybody. If you're in league, this is happening. You got this. You don't need to do anything. You're going to be part of this. If you're not, come join us. It's happening on May 28th at noon Eastern time. I designed this workshop specifically for parents who are tired of waiting, tired of promising themselves tomorrow will be different. I'll do it when I have time. I'm too tired today. Tired of knowing exactly what kind of parent they want to be, but not quite making it there. Because that was me 15 plus years ago. And I wish I would have had a No Yell Summer workshop to go to spell it all out for me. So in this 90-minute workshop, we're going to figure out why you're actually yelling. It's not because there's something wrong with you, I promise. Or why you're getting frustrated if you're not a yeller. Why you're feeling agitated and judgmental towards your kids. We're going to figure that out. I'm going to explain it to you. You're going to have more clarity. You're going to set 3 doable summer goals. You're going to choose a parent identity. We're going to match it with an emotional capacity. And you're going to have a plan that works in real life. Not a plan about perfection. It's okay if it doesn't get executed perfectly. It's not going to get executed perfectly. It's not about becoming some Instagram-worthy parent who never loses their cool. It's about progress, meaningful, sustainable progress toward being the parent you want to be. I want you to imagine walking into your child's room at the end of a no-yell day, and you feel that moment when instead of that familiar knot in your stomach and the heaviness in your chest and your shoulders feeling all tense and you're, all up in your ears, your shoulders are relaxed. You feel calm. You can look into your child's eyes without guilt clouding the connection. You can hear almost the softness of their heart and the softness of your voice as you say goodnight. That feeling alone, that moment of genuine peace is worth starting today. Because the cost of waiting for one more bedtime haunted by regret is simply too high of a price to pay. Here's the truth. Your kids, they don't need you to be perfect. Thank goodness, because none of us are perfect. They need you to be growing. They need you to be trying. They need you to just care enough to keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when you messed up. They need to know that you're there, that you're the solution, that you're figuring this out. Research in developmental psychology consistently shows that what children need most is not perfect parents. Again, thank goodness, because that is not achievable. But what they do need is parents who are emotionally available, emotionally responsive to their needs. They need what attachment theorists call a secure base, one that they can trust in, a parent that they know is there no matter what. So I really hope that you will come join me for the No Yell Summer Workshop. I would love to show you how to structure a plan of progress this summer. It's happening on May 28th, again, noon Eastern. There will be a replay so that you can watch it again if you come live, or if you can't come live, you can watch the replay and get just as much out of it. It's $7. I jokingly have told some people it's less than that fancy coffee you'll need after staying up all night, rather, worrying about summer. Or, a drive-through meal, it's less than that, or not any more than that. And this isn't about adding anything onto your plate. Really, I'm not going to give you a ton of stuff to do. I'm going to give you practical tools to become the parent you want to be. And you're going to apply them as you're parenting. So you're going to be doing this in the time you're parenting. It's not extra time. It's about helping you stop discounting your future parenting vision and start living it now. Because the cost of waiting isn't just theoretical. It's real, it's cumulative, and it's growing with each passing day. So let me just leave you with this. The best time to plant a tree, you probably all know this. You're like, this is so cliche, but it works. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time? Yep, today. The same is true with parenting. The best time to become the best parent you wanted to be was the day your child was born, or probably 10 years before your child was born to start. The second best time is right now. But here is what I want you to understand about the true cost of waiting. Every single day you put off becoming the parent you want to be isn't just a neutral day. It's an active investment in the opposite direction. So let me break down what waiting is actually costing you. It's costing you precious time that you can never get back. Your child will be only this age for this year with these specific needs and this openness today. So let's be there for them. It's costing you emotional currency that compounds daily, guilt, regret, shame that you carry from interaction to interaction that don't align with your values. It's costing you relationship equity with your child. Trust isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in thousands of tiny moments where you show up as the parent they can count on. And it's costing your child the opportunity to develop emotional regulation skills by watching you model them consistently. And most painfully, it's costing both of you joy, the deep, authentic joy that comes from a relationship unburdened by patterns that neither of you actually want. I recently got this message from a mom. She said, I waited 3 years to join your program. That's 3 years of bedtimes where I felt ashamed instead of connected. 3 years of memories tinged with regret. 3 years I can't get back. Don't be me. Don't wait. I thought that was so good. Like, don't wait. Tell other people don't wait. I loved it. Her words were so powerful. The truth about parenting is really very simple. Children want to be connected with us. They want time and they want it now. We tell ourselves we'll change tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week and next week becomes next month. And suddenly we're looking at a child who's a whole nother year older and we're still stuck in the same patterns we promised ourselves we'd break. The math is undeniable. If you have a 7-year-old and you wait one more year to make the changes, you've lost 14% of your remaining time with them before they turn 18. 1 year might not sound like much, but when measured against childhood, it's a lot. Every morning your child wakes up with an almost magical capacity for forgiveness, for hope, for belief in the relationship. They're not discounting the future. They're counting on it, and they're counting on you. So I'm asking you, what future are you creating with today's choices? Are you investing in becoming the parent your child will remember with warmth and gratitude? Or are you hoping that tomorrow I'll do better? When everything's perfect, when I have more time, that's when I'll be able to make some changes. Because here's the most painful cost of waiting. While you're waiting for the perfect moment to become the parent you want to be, your child isn't waiting to form their understanding of you and who you are. That's happening today, right now in this moment. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do it perfect. You just have to be willing to start where you are, willing to take the first step, willing to show up imperfectly, willing to stop letting later steal the show of who you want to be now, willing to stop letting later steal the life you want now. So what I want to say is I know that every person who listens to this podcast is trying to be the best parent. We have intentions, we have hopes, we have dreams, we want to do better. So I'm challenging you to take an action today to move forward on that. Just one more step. Maybe you're already taking action. So what's one little tweak, one more thing that you can do that will help you take it a little bit further? I'd love you to focus on summer because it's right around the corner and think, how do I make this summer the best summer ever? What's one priority I have, one thing I want to up-level that I could focus on this summer? Because you don't have to feel ready. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to start where you are, willing to take the first step, willing to show up imperfectly, willing to stop letting later steal the life and the relationship you want with your child today. And that's why I created the No Yell Summer Workshop. It's happening May 28th at noon Eastern. If you want to come participate, I would love to have you there. I'd love to help you take that next step, to help you feel like you can make the progress towards the parent you want to be, that we can really use the next 80, 90 days, however long your summer is, to move the ball forward, to be a catalyst for lasting change. I want you to imagine this September looking back on a summer filled with connection instead of conflict. Imagine the weight lifted from your shoulder. Imagine the foundation you'll have built for everything that comes next. Let's use this summer and make it the best summer yet. Let's not wait until the school year starts. Let's not wait till the middle of summer. Let's start right now to use this summer as the catalyst for the next level of our parenting change. The future is possible, you all, but it doesn't start someday. It starts today. It starts with your choice right now to stop waiting and to take the action your heart has been telling you to take so that you can show up as the parent you want to be for your kids and for yourself. So I'll see you at the workshop, friends, because our children aren't waiting and neither should we. We'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. Thanks so much for listening, you all. If you are ready to learn more about Connect Method Parenting, if you've been listening to the podcast and you think, ooh, I'd love to be able to implement this in my life and with my parenting more, then check out Pivot. It's my 8-week program where we deep dive into learning and implementing Connect Method Parenting so that you can take this information and transform your parenting journey. Head over to connectmethodparenting.com to find out when the next group starts.